David Wygant, 10-minute daily reality check. Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018. How was New Year's? How was New Year's Day? How did it treat you? How are the resolutions coming along? How's life treating you today? I was thinking something because it's been my kids' Christmas break, and I've had the opportunity to see parents and talk to parents, and there's some things that are very disturbing that I want to share with all of you single parents that are out there. Now, I've been coaching people for almost 20 years now. It's amazing. I cannot believe I started this in 1998. And over the 20 years, I've noticed several patterns. One of the patterns is that pretty much the most functional adults that came from divorced households are the ones whose parents both taught them the value of work. The ones that taught the kids, or now adults, what it means to make money, to earn a living, to pay for your own things, to live really above and not above your means, to live within your means. But I see a disturbing trend, especially living in Los Angeles. I see a lot of people who are users, especially single mothers. I've seen a lot of single mothers in this town that don't do a thing. They literally will go and they'll cash out one marriage and literally find the next sucker to take care of them, the next man to pay their bills, the next man to literally float their lifestyle. And I've watched it over and over again. And I got to tell you something. It fucks up your kid more than you ever know. Because the most dysfunctional people that I have met are the women or the men that have come from entitlement. Meaning, there was a woman that I worked with one time, and she just didn't want to work. She didn't want to do a thing. She literally lived off of every man. And I asked her, I said, where did you get this awful way of using men? Because she truly wanted to connect deeply to a man. She looked at me and she said, well, my mother did it. My mother went from my father to the next guy, to the next guy, to the next guy. And then we slowly examined her relationship history, and guess what? She went from one codependent financial relationship to the next codependent relationship, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, literally hustling men and repeating her mother's patterns. So I dove deeper, and I started asking other coaches and talking to other people and started going deeper into the research. And I found that children who come from mothers or fathers that have abused them in an emotional way, meaning they've taught them a way of living that is not really a conducive way to be a functional member of society, they have the toughest time having relationships. I've met a lot of single mothers. I call them the shame on you single mothers, the ones that seem to sit around staring at their social media all day long, or walking around Brentwood or Marina Del Rey with a cup of coffee in their hands, kids a tow. They haven't worked in years. They've got paid off by one husband, and they've got the new guy basically paying their bills yet again. They're teaching their children that it's okay to use men. They're teaching their little girls that this is what they do. They use men. You ask these little girls what their mom does, and they say, I don't know, my mom's on the computer, or my mom's lazy. My mom doesn't really work. And this is what they're watching, and this is what they're learning, and this is what they're going to become when they get older. They're literally going to become an extended version of their mother, the mother who decided not to work, to live off of men in loveless relationships. I see it all the time. I see these women with their men, bullying their men, busting their balls, literally ordering them around. I literally watch this on a daily basis living in Los Angeles, and I'm also from New York, so I saw it there as well. I see them in loveless relationships, and I watch their kids watch this. Kids learn so much from what they see their parents do. And the kids who watch their mothers do this think it's an okay thing to do. That's how mommy got by. Mommy didn't feel like working 2 jobs. Mommy decided that she was entitled to everything. Mommy didn't want to hustle jobs and show their kids how important the value of dollar was. Mommy decided that she would use men. Because mommy was not good in really working on her life and not understanding what a role model mommy really was. And I see this over and over and over again. And it greatly affects the children. It affects the boys as well, because the boys then have this story, and I've worked with men later. All women are users. All women use men for money. I never had that story. My mom was a single mom when I was 18 or 19. She worked jobs. She didn't take money from my father. My mother hustled and worked her ass off. My dad took care of us the first 18 years. My mom started working when I was 14. And my story is that women are actually pretty goddamn cool. Women actually take care of themselves. Women pay their own bills. But if you look at the people who have seen this growing up, there's a generation of men and women that literally don't trust one another. The women think it's okay to use the men because that's what Mommy Dearest did. And the men don't trust women at all because their story is that all women take from men because that's what they saw their mother do. And then you have the beautiful kids who turned into great adults with great work habits, and they talk about their single mom or single dad with unbelievable warmth. My mom had 3 jobs as she raised us. I hear that story so much, and I see the beaming in these kids' eyes, and I look at their work ethic and the way that they value other people, and it's far greater than the people who came from users. See, I know it's tough if you're a single mom or a single dad and you're living in a world or a city that's expensive, and you think it's, well, you got to do what you got to do to get by, but your kids see this. Your kids see you hustling men. Your kids see your work ethic. Your kids watch that. And then you're literally training them to be junior gold diggers like yourself. Men, you're not alone in this. And I'm not going to literally throw just some of the women that do this under the bus, because there are men out there that literally do the same exact thing. But they do it in a man way. They literally disappoint their kids nonstop because they get caught up chasing other women. They get caught up having another family. And then they literally do not spend the time making their daughter or their son feel important. So men and women do the same type of things, but in different ways. When you have a child, your responsibility is to show them through your actions what life is all about. Children who come from parents who use men, or men who basically ignore their kids, tend to be adults who are love-starved when they get older. If you speak to children who grew up this way, they will literally tell you that their mothers didn't show them what love was all about. They know the story because they'll go back and see the story. But as they're growing up, they won't even notice what's going on. They think that's the way it's supposed to be. Well, mom's not supposed to work. Mom lives off of men. She goes from one loveless relationship to the next. And this is what they witness growing up. And when they get older, these are the things they're going to need to work on in their relationships. The things that they watch their mom and their dad do. Because their mom and their dad chose not to work or chose not to step up for the family. It's a plague that's going on. I see it all the time. I see these mothers all the time. And I look at them and I think to myself, I'm real happy that you can hustle men. It's a real skill because there's always a man out there that doesn't mind being hustled for some good-looking woman. But what you're doing is you're fucking up your kids, and you have no right to do that. And that's where the shame on you comes in. You're screwing your kids up because you're showing your kids that it's all right to be in a loveless relationship for the sake of money. It's not all right to show your kids that you don't work. And your kids see you sitting around all the time wondering why you don't work. And they just kind of think, well, that's what mom does. She doesn't work. And then your kids watch you in these loveless relationships. And this is the time of their life when they're younger, when they should learn how to love. The value of kissing and holding hands and connecting as adults. But they don't get to see that. Because what's important to you is your lifestyle, sitting on your ass doing nothing. It's the lessons you're teaching your kids that take them down the path in life that they didn't deserve to go. In the time that I've been separated, the 5+ years, almost 6 years I've been separated from my daughter's mother, my daughter has yet to meet anybody I've dated. Because I want to show my daughter what love is all about. I know when I split from my ex in 2012, one of the greatest moments of my life was leaving her, because I knew we were in a loveless relationship, and I didn't want to show my daughter that, because I knew I had a job to do. And my job as a father was to show my daughter what a man was in love, so she would have great loving relationships as she got older. I remember when I separated from my ex in 2012, I went to Hawaii, and I envisioned what it would be like to be in a loving relationship, to show my daughter that. Because my daughter needs to see that relationship in order for her to have good relationships moving forward, because I know she's just a sponge. And if I was stayed in a bad relationship, or if I showed her some of the relationships I've had since I left that marriage, and those relationships didn't work out, she would see me as her father goes from one relationship to the next. She would have that story in her mind. She would think of commitment in a whole different way. But now Dad doesn't show that to her. Dad's had lots of relationships, but he hasn't shown her any of those relationships, because my job as a father is to show my daughter what a man is in love. Her mother is showing her things that I don't even want to talk about at all. But as parents, that's our job. It's our duty to be able to show our kids what respect is, what work ethic is, what love is all about. And if you're trying to survive in a loveless relationship, being a single parent, I can understand how difficult it is to make ends meet. But what you might be doing now by saving your money or living a lifestyle right now so you're not living day to day, you're showing your children the wrong way to do things, and you're showing them the wrong type of relationships, and some of you are showing your little girls how to hustle men. And that is not the way the world works. So there's your 10-minute daily reality check today. A little message for single parents. I'll see you tomorrow.